It's Monday morning, April 27th, and the profiteering off of the coronavirus marches on. I turned the television on just briefly. I like to see the news from all the different cables in the morning. Very early, I get up at around 5 a.m. To watch. And I saw that Fox News is now stating that there's going to be a meat famine as a result of coronavirus. In other words, not having caused enough panic so far to raise their ratings, their advertising dollars, to make money hand over fist, since now some governors are saying they're going to open up states and people are feeling a bit more relaxed, Fox News has to jack up the panic again by saying you're not going to have meat. And then following that, they put on Cardinal Dolan from New York. Now, I have great respect for the Catholic religion. In fact, my kids were raised Catholic. But the Catholic Church and its institution is another story. Cardinal Dolan goes on and says that the Catholic diocese, the schools in New York City, are effectively going to go bankrupt unless they get contributions right now, and kids aren't going to be able to go to Catholic school. Well, I suggest that the Catholic Church maybe melt down some of the gold in St. Peter's. They should perhaps be supporting the efforts of various people, including philanthropists and also the American government, so-called government, in helping people out who are going bankrupt and are losing their jobs and losing their businesses, rather than soliciting money during this period. Now, again, I respect the Catholic religion. It's a fine religion, but the people who run it, that's another story. And there's another story this morning, and that is that the drumbeat goes on for Roger Stone among those who drink the Kool-Aid, even in the so-called conservative movement. I would say these people are not conservative. Go to WND.com, go to freedomwatchusa.com, freedomwatchusa.org, and read my column of last week on how the pardon of Roger Stone could perhaps result in electing Joe Biden. And it's quite clear right now he's probably going to choose Michelle Obama as his vice presidential candidate. That'll make the election extremely close. The president, right or wrong, is being blamed for the confusion with regard to the virus and the various government efforts. There is confusion. Yes, there's confusion. Let's call a spade a spade. And the person in power is the one who usually gets blamed. It's usually easy to blame from the outside. Biden can do that. And if Biden gets elected president this fall, expect that he will probably die if he makes it that far in office, or he'll be doing coloring books in the Oval Office. That's how bad his dementia is, and possibly even the onset of Alzheimer's. And then we'll wind up with President Michelle Obama. Now, if you think that Barack was bad, just wait for Michelle. Someone who dislikes people of different races. I would call her a racist herself. Someone who is ultra-left, even further left than Barack Obama. You can expect a literal bloodbath when it comes to the vision of our founding fathers in terms of destroying that vision. And that's the risk. And if people think that pardoning Stone is okay for lying under oath, for obstructing justice, for threatening witnesses, then I would say those people really aren't conservatives at all. Look at some of the comments at WND.com. These are people who drink the Kool-Aid of Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson, who, by the way, has, through his surrogates over at the Daily Caller, defamed my client, Dr. Corsi. And you can read all about that. I also ask you to watch the deposition of Roger Stone. You'll see the real Roger Stone at LarryKlayman.com, LarryKlayman.com, that website. See, this is really what gets under my skin, is that if you're going to be a true conservative, you believe in the vision of our founding fathers, you believe that we're a nation of laws and not men, as John Adams said when he signed the Declaration of Independence, you believe in truth, justice, and the American way. And I don't care if Comey wasn't indicted, if McCabe wasn't indicted, of Lovebirds, of Brennan, Clapper, the whole rest of them, Obamas and the Clintons, because we're taking care of that at Freedom Watch. We're bringing citizens' grand juries. I've already indicted Mueller. He's going to be tried once this coronavirus subsides and we're able to convene a citizens' court. But if you think lying is okay, then you ought to support Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats. And that's what I've said, because they're inveterate liars. The reason that we had 2 witch hunts against the president and an impeachment is over lying under oath, false warrants, the Steele dossier, Fusion GPS. If you're going to keep your own, you have to keep your own house in order as conservatives if you're going to demand justice from the other side. I don't care whether you're Democrat, liberal, or otherwise. And that's what's really bringing this country down, is that people who take positions on the basis of politics, but not on the basis of the law, of the 10 Commandments. It's a crime under the 10 Commandments to lie. Thou shalt not lie. Thou shalt not bear false witness. And that's what Stone did, you see. So all of these propaganda efforts that he puts forth, he doesn't want to be retried, because in the first trial, he presented no witnesses. He didn't even testify himself. There was no real documentary evidence. He'd be convicted again. So he wants a pardon. He doesn't have any chance of winning a second trial with no witnesses. But this points out why the efforts of Freedom Watch are so important with regard to the coronavirus. Who's doing the heavy lifting now? Who brought a class action? Larry Klayman and Freedom Watch. Who brought a criminal complaint in The Hague? Larry Klayman and Freedom Watch. Who's amassing a team of lawyers domestically and internationally? We have filed a case in Jerusalem, Israel, and we have witnesses. We have whistleblowers that will testify this was a bioweapon. There's no immunity from suit. Why should the American people pay? Why shouldn't communist Chinese pay? And as I've always said, the Chinese are good people, but the leaders in Beijing are evil. And on my radio show, which you can see at freedomwatchusa.org, and on Spotify, on iTunes, on Roku, on Amazon Fire, on Facebook, on Twitter, done on Radio America, which allows me to tell the truth, which is the greatest radio network there is, because they're trying to let you know the truth. You can learn all of these different things. So go to freedomwatchusa.org. Be a real conservative and support our cause by giving tax-deductible contributions, because this is expensive, and signing up for our class actions and supporting our criminal case in The Hague. freedomwatchusa.org. Go there today, and go to larryklayman.com and watch the Stone deposition and see the real Roger Stone. Listen to the profanity and disrespect towards all sides, which was displayed there. Until then, God bless you. God bless your family. Stay safe. I'll be back tomorrow with another edition of Special Prosecutor with Larry Klayman, the podcast, and listen to my weekly radio show at freedomwatchusa.org, on Spotify, on iTunes, on Roku, on Amazon Fire, on Facebook, and on Twitter. God bless America. God save America. And thank you for listening to me.